What if your clearest thoughts were never truly yours alone? What if the calm you feel in certain moments, the steadiness in your decisions, even the way you recover from stress, began long before self-help books, supplements, or modern health trends? What if part of your mental clarity was first stirred in an old kitchen, by hands that never used the word wellness, but somehow understood it better than we do now? Because long before people talked about brain health, your grandparents may have been quietly cooking it into your life. And the most surprising part? You may still be living off the wisdom of their recipes today. There was something different about the way older generations cooked. They did not rush. They did not count every calorie. They did not chase the newest trend on a screen. They worked with memory, instinct, smell, patience, and care. A pot was never just a pot. It was medicine, comfort, rhythm, and family history all at once. A soup simmering for hours, fermented vegetables resting in jars, spices crushed by hand, fresh herbs dropped into broth at just the right moment. None of it felt flashy. None of it needed a marketing slogan. But hidden inside those ordinary meals were things modern life often strips away. Nourishment that steadied the body, calmed inflammation, supported digestion, and quietly protected the brain. And maybe that is why so many people still say the same strange thing. I don't know why, but food from my grandmother's kitchen made me feel better in every way. That feeling was not imaginary. It was real, deeply real. And today, we are beginning to understand why. Think about the meals you remember most. Not the fancy restaurant dishes, not the processed snacks, not the things designed to grab your attention and disappear. The meals that stay with you are usually simpler. A stew that cooked all afternoon, rice seasoned the same way every Sunday, fresh bread from a familiar oven, tea with ginger, cinnamon, clove, or mint, yogurt, porridge, beans, lentils, bone broth, pickled vegetables, slow-cooked greens. These foods did more than fill an empty stomach. They created stability. And stability is one of the greatest gifts an aging mind can receive. Today, many people live in a cycle of overstimulation. Too much sugar, too much speed, too much stress, too many foods built for convenience but empty of depth. The body pays for that. So does the mind. Mental fog does not always arrive dramatically. Sometimes it creeps in quietly. You forget why you walked into a room. You lose your train of thought in the middle of a sentence. You feel tired even after sleeping. You become easily irritated, not because life is worse, but because your inner balance is weaker. And often, we blame only age. But age is not always the villain. Sometimes the real problem is disconnection from the old rhythms that once supported the brain without us even noticing. Your grandparents may not have understood neurotransmitters or gut-brain signaling in scientific language, but they understood something just as valuable. When food was prepared with patience, diversity, and tradition, people tended to think more clearly, sleep more deeply, and feel more emotionally grounded. Look closely at many traditional recipes from around the world, and you notice the same pattern. They use real ingredients. They rely on natural fermentation. They include herbs and spices with powerful protective effects. They often combine fiber, healthy fats, minerals, and slow energy in the same meal. They support the gut, and the gut, as we now know, speaks constantly to the brain. In other words, those old kitchens were doing silent work modern kitchens often forgot. A spoonful of fermented food was not just flavor. It was support for the inner ecosystem that shapes mood and clarity. A stew with turmeric, garlic, onion, black pepper, and leafy greens was not just comfort. It was a daily defense against the wear and tear of inflammation. A broth simmered from bones, vegetables, and herbs was not just frugality. It was restoration. Even the act of eating itself was different. Older generations often ate slower, together, at a table, with conversation, with gratitude, with routine. And that matters too. Because mental clarity does not come only from nutrients. It also comes from how life is lived around the meal. A calm meal teaches the nervous system safety. A repeated family recipe teaches continuity. A familiar smell awakens memory. A kitchen full of care reminds the body it does not need to stay in survival mode. That is why one bite of an old family dish can bring tears to the eyes before the mind even understands why. The body remembers what the heart forgot to say. Now think about your grandmother or grandfather standing in that kitchen. Maybe they never wrote the recipe down. Maybe they cooked by feel, a little more of this, a pinch of that. Taste, stir, wait, adjust. At the time it looked ordinary, but what they were really passing down was far more than a meal. They were passing down a blueprint for steadier blood sugar, for less irritation in the body, for stronger digestion, for calmer evenings, for better sleep, for clearer mornings. And they passed it down through repetition. That is how traditions become biology. The body learns from what it receives again and again. If a person grows up on deeply nourishing food, rich in plants, spices, cultured ingredients, legumes, slow-cooked proteins, and balanced fats, the brain is not just being fed in the moment. It is being trained over time, trained to resist chaos, trained to recover, trained to function with less noise. This is why some modern people spend years chasing mental clarity through expensive powders, complicated routines, and miracle solutions, while forgetting that part of the answer may already exist in an old family notebook, or in a memory of what used to simmer on the stove every winter. The tragedy is not that the wisdom disappeared. The tragedy is that many people stopped recognizing it as wisdom. Traditional cooking became labeled old-fashioned, too slow, too plain, too inconvenient. But inconvenient is sometimes just another word for deeply human. A jar of fermented vegetables takes time. A real broth takes patience. A proper stew cannot be rushed. Fresh herbs must be chosen. Spices must be balanced. Flavor must be built. And in that slowness, something beautiful happens. The cook becomes attentive. The meal becomes intentional. The eater becomes present. Modern life has given us speed, but it has also stolen repetition, ritual, and respect. And the mind suffers when life loses those anchors. That is why so many older people seem to carry a kind of grounded wisdom around food. They know which tea to drink when the nerves are strained. They know which soup brings strength after illness. They know which spices warm the body, which foods settle the stomach, which meals help a person sleep. This knowledge did not come from trends. It came from observation, from generations watching what helped and what harmed. And maybe that kind of wisdom deserves more trust than we give it. Because when you really think about it, your grandparents were not just feeding hunger. They were feeding resilience. But here is the deeper truth. And this is where the story changes. The hidden power of your grandparents' recipes was never only in the ingredients. Yes, the spices mattered. Yes, the fermentation mattered. Yes, the broth, fiber, herbs, and slow cooking mattered. But that was only half the medicine. The other half was emotional. Those meals were often prepared in an atmosphere of belonging. Someone made them for you. Someone waited for you to sit down. Someone remembered what you liked. Someone noticed whether you had eaten enough. Someone served not just food, but attention. And attention changes the body. Care changes the body. Love, expressed repeatedly through meals, reduces stress in ways no packaged product can imitate. A person who feels safe digests better. A person who digests better nourishes the brain more effectively. A person whose brain is well nourished thinks more clearly, reacts less harshly, and rests more deeply. So maybe the old family meal sharpened the mind not only because of what was in the pot, but because of what surrounded the pot. Presence, warmth, routine, conversation, laughter, silence that felt safe, the knowledge that you belonged somewhere. That kind of nourishment is nearly impossible to measure, yet nearly impossible to replace. And perhaps this is why recreating a grandparent's recipe can feel so powerful, even decades later. It is not just taste returning. It is structure returning, memory returning, safety returning, identity returning. In that moment, the mind is not merely eating, it is remembering how to be whole. So if your thoughts felt cloudy, if your spirit has felt scattered, if life has become too fast, too loud, too artificial, maybe the answer is not always to look forward. Maybe sometimes the answer is to look back. Back to the kitchen where nourishment was slow. Back to the meals that carried patience. Back to the old recipes that understood the body before science found the language for it. Back to the spices, broths, ferments, teas, and humble dishes that built strong minds, quietly, faithfully, over time. Your grandparents may never have said, "This will help your mental clarity," but in their own way, they said it every time they stirred the pot, every time they waited for the dough to rise, every time they handed you a bowl and told you to eat while it was hot. They were telling you, slow down, take in what heals, return to what is real, feed your mind the way you feed your soul. And maybe that is the great forgotten lesson. Mental clarity is not always found in something new. Sometimes it is hidden in something old, something familiar, something lovingly repeated. Something that once came from a quiet kitchen and still lives inside you now. If this touched your heart, leave a comment with the one recipe from your grandparents you still remember. And subscribe for more quiet wisdom that helps us age with meaning.